Someday when I have enough time and all the stars align and everything is just perfect, then I'll do it. I used to be a professional procrastinator on steroids. In college, I said, I'll eat healthy when I graduate. And then I graduated and I said, I'll eat healthy when I get older. And this went on and on and on. Today, I want to talk a little bit about procrastination, willpower, and self-discipline. You know, I have interviewed a lot of people who have dieted in the past, and I'm just blown away at how much discipline and willpower these people actually had to be able to diet for weeks and months and years and just get a little bit of results and do it with a lot of cravings and a lot of fatigue and a lot of hunger. I mean, to tolerate those two things, hunger and cravings over a long period of time, is just remarkable. So it is true that every time you diet, you tend to slow your metabolism a little bit more and more and more, especially if that diet involves low calorie and high carbohydrate. Dieting in general tends to go against survival, right? When you're hungry, your body should eat. When you're craving, you should actually eat what you're craving, right? Even the concept of losing fat is anti-survival because fat is all about surviving. Your body does not like to give up fat. It doesn't like to lose the storage of energy. So every time a person tends to lose weight and not succeed, it's going to be more difficult to continue and do that same thing because it actually is not working. And so a lot of times incorrectly, they will label themselves as lazy, a procrastinator, or just that they have low willpower. When in fact, this is just not the case. People are really not procrastinators. They're not lazy. And it's not that they have low willpower. What is true is they just been on the wrong program. When you're on the correct program and it's working, and I'm talking about actually losing fat, you're going to see results and you are going to stick to it. And so when you are on a program and it doesn't work, you have to step back and really make sure that you're on the correct program. Because what's interesting is that if you truly understand how to get into fat burning, two things for sure will happen, okay? It may not be weight loss at first, but it'll definitely be these two things. One is your cravings will go away. And number two, your appetite will go away. You will no longer be hungry. Why? Because you are burning fat even when you're not eating. And so you're not relying on the calories from food externally. You're burning your fat 24/7. And the purpose of that fat fuel is the storage so you could exist between meals and not be hungry. I mean, just compare being on a diet, okay, with hunger and with cravings versus not having any cravings or hunger. Just think about how easy it would be. Now, the question is, why might you not lose weight if you're not doing it correctly? There's a really powerful principle. And if you've never heard this before, it'll be a really big thing for you, but maybe you've heard it before. And that is this: you don't lose weight, then get healthy. You have to get healthy first before you lose the weight. The health comes before the weight loss. So the fact that you're losing fat isn't necessarily always equated to getting healthy. Let's say you have atrophy, okay, like muscle loss. That has to be healed, and that takes some time. Let's say you're healing something called insulin resistance, which is really behind a slow metabolism. That process does take some time to heal too. But you have to realize that the fact that your cravings go away and your appetite goes away means it is working. So all of this boils down to having a better understanding of how fat is burned and what to eat and what to do to trigger that. And so if you are new to my channel and this information, I put a link down below of a document that'll show you exactly what to eat to be able to achieve those two things: rid cravings and rid hunger, to make it easy to do and to get healthy to eventually lose the weight. So many times procrastination is just a symptom of you're not getting results because you don't have the correct plan, okay? So that's number one. And assigning yourself the wrong diagnosis or someone else assigning you always get worse with that. So number two, the next point I want to bring up is the problem with time. People that say, well, I just don't have enough time to exercise, or I don't have enough time to implement the eating it takes or preparing for the meals to do this program. Well, I'm going to propose that your real problem is you have too much time, okay? I don't know if you've ever heard of Parkinson's law, okay? I want to read it to you. Work expands so as to fill time available for its completion. Now, what does that mean? Basically, people adjust their pace to the workload and amount of time they have to finish it. So in other words, if you have a lot of time, you may fill that with a lot of busy work. There's a few corollaries I want to mention. If you wait until the last minute, it only takes a minute to do. Time is interesting because we think that we just don't have enough time, but if we really dissect a given day, there's a tremendous amount of effort done on things that are just a complete waste of time. And I think naturally, if we just stay busy, we think we're getting something done. But is it really productive time? Not necessarily. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to recommend to overcome this lack of time problem. So let's just say you have a goal to implement exercise, but you're maybe waiting until someday when you have the time, which is probably never going to happen. So this is what I'm going to recommend you do, because a person will always, if they have a certain amount of time, they will automatically fill this vacuum with all sorts of things, very similar to your house. If you have extra rooms or extra spaces, all of a sudden they become occupied with something. The same thing happens with your time. So this is what I'm going to recommend you do, right? As you plan out your day, you have all these activities, and generally speaking, most people kind of weigh them on importance. I would recommend taking the ones that relate to your health style, specifically exercise, eating correctly, maybe preparing for those meals. Put those at the top of the list as the most important necessities. Don't treat those things as extra things that you'll get to if you have time. Put those at the top of the list in relationship to everything else. So, for example, exercise, the mindset you should have is, I'm going to exercise as a priority. And if I have any time left in the day, I will do these other things. Like maybe I'll eat, maybe I'll get dressed, maybe I'll go to work. So in other words, the more necessity that you create for these very specific goals that you tend to put off, the more you're going to get that done. So this is going to take a lot of ignoring trivial things, right? And pushing those distractions to the side and really getting clarity on your goals, okay? With healthy eating, with exercising, or whatever you're doing. The more you get clarity and the more that you define why you want this thing, the better you're going to be. Now, as far as me, why I like exercise, I like the feeling of having endurance, the ability to go for a period of time. I like the feeling of strength. I like the feeling that exercise gives me after I exercise, not necessarily during the exercise. Some people, when they exercise, experience a tremendous amount of pain, right? It's very painful for them. And it's also extremely boring. So they're going to have to find something that is not boring, something that is different, that's not really like exercise. Maybe they do some type of dancing or some type of fitness that is they're interested in. Some people exercise to lose weight and get fit to reshape their body. And maybe they don't know that diet is responsible for 85% of the results, and exercise is only 15%. And their diet is not that great. And so they're trying to achieve this goal without knowing that piece of data. Or they might not know what is really responsible for the stimulation of muscle growth, and that's intensity. And so the way they're exercising is just not intensive enough. It's kind of like this moderate type of exercise where they have to do like 12 different sets, time consuming, and they don't really get results because they don't understand that it's the intensity. They should be doing a different type of exercise. And I'm going to put that link down below. So it is about having the correct information. And this especially applies to our bodies. But I don't tend to follow what everyone else is doing because usually that is incorrect information. I like to study those people that are very successful in certain things and not necessarily study or follow what mainstream or conventional is doing, because I find usually the truth is in the opposite direction. So anyway, I wanted to sort out in this video a couple things that I think will help you overcome procrastination and increase your discipline and give you more willpower.